All right, if I were doing this problem, probably the first thing I would do is maybe I would do sign analysis on it. And let me write that down for you. And again, you may say, why do you do that? Just get a feel for what the picture looks like. I'm going to say definitely I got plus or minus 1 on top. On the bottom, wow, isn't that interesting? And I'll tell you what's interesting about it. This will cancel off provided x is not minus 1. So this actually turns out to be a simpler problem. It actually turns out to be x plus 1 over 3x minus 4 if the x is not minus 1. That's a lot easier problem to deal with, by the way. But anyway, I'm going to keep the 1 there. That's an important thing, by the way. I'm going to look at the bottom, and when does the bottom become 0? And I know it occurs at, I'm sorry, I said 1, it's minus 1. The bottom becomes 0 at 4/3. All right, now suppose I have no idea where 4/3 is. I hope you know it's to the right of 1. And by the way, I'm not talking about scale here. This is 4/3. Now, 4/3 is 1.333. So I'm going to start taking test values. All right. Now, when I take test values, someone says, where are you taking test values? On the number line. But when I analyze it, I'm only analyzing it here. I don't need to analyze it anywhere else, by the way. All right, because I'm just looking at the sign of it. All I'm doing. So to the right of 4/3, like you pick a number like, I don't know, 5, plug it in, you get positive. So I know it's positive over here. Now, between 1 and 4/3, I'm going to say 1.1, and what would you get there? You get negative. Now, if I'm between minus 1 and 1, I pick 0, plug it in, you get positive. Oh, look at negative again. Don't let that shock you. If I go below minus 1, what would you get? Like minus 2? You get negative on top, negative on bottom. Oh, positive. Look at that. All right. I'm going to start writing other things down. And one of the things I want to write down is I want to write down the x-intercepts. All right? So let's write this down, x-intercepts. Well, I'm kind of looking at it, and I would say minus 1, right? I think so, right? But I'm going to be honest with you, that couldn't happen. I'll tell you why it couldn't happen. I'd have a division of 0. So I'm going to say that's not even possible. So I'm going to say there's none. There's no x-intercept. Then the big question is, what happens at minus 1? Well, what happens at minus 1, there will be what's called a removable discontinuity. There'll be a hole. And what's the hole going to be? It's actually going to be minus 1, 0. There's going to be a hole at minus 1, 0. We'll look at the picture later, but there's going to be a hole there. There's nothing there. It's a hole. All right, so I got this part over here. You know, y-intercepts. Let's write this down. Y-intercept. Fairly easy. Set x to be 0. What are you going to get? Minus 1/4. All right. I'm also going to do the horizontal asymptote. And that's going to be the limit as x goes to infinity of f of x. I'm actually looking at this guy over here. What do we get there? Let's see, I would divide through by x, right? Just 1/3. And if I did limit as x goes to minus infinity of f of x, I still get 1/3. So my horizontal asymptote is going to be y equals 1/3. Let's do the vertical asymptote. What's that going to be? The limit as x goes towards, well, when does the bottom have a divisor of 0? Well, certainly we know there's a hole, but we're not worried about it. No asymptotic behavior there, canceled off. What do you get? It's going to be at 4/3. From the right, let's take a look at it. I know it's going to blow up to an infinity. What's the sign of that going to be? Well, we're to the right. It's going to be plus. Let's do this. Limit x goes to 4/3 from the left of f of x. Well, I know it's going to blow up. It's an infinity. But when it's to the left of 4/3, it's negative. All right? So what's a vertical asymptote? It's going to be x equals 4/3. All right. As you're doing problems, you're going to make mistakes, and certainly you're going to look at your work. They give us a nice picture, by the way. And I'm kind of seeing the picture as they said it was going to be. What do they say? You know, that this line over here is x equals 4/3. That's 1 1/3. I clearly see that. I see this line over here. We just did that. That was y equals 1/3. Yeah, it appears to be 1/3. I said the graph was going to be positive to the right of 4/3. I see that. And what else do I see? I see something, but I don't see the whole. And I want to point out, this is a lot of times when graphic calculators, you're not going to see the whole, but I'm going to put it in for you. There's a hole here. Now, someone says, well, that's unfair. I don't see it. How could you expect me to know that? You got to do the work. It's there. All right? What do I know? Well, I know between 1 and 4/3 it's negative. I got that. And between -1 and 1, it's negative. I know that much. And otherwise, yeah, I got that. It's all covered out. All right? So I feel pretty good about it. And just keep going through it, looking at it, picture I got. I guess I could put the domain down, right? What's the domain going to be? All the real numbers. Let's go back and look at it. I'm going to say -1 can't be there. That's why I have a hole there, by the way. And the other number can't be is 4/3. Let's put down the range now. Again, we'll look at the answer later. I'm going to say it's, like -infinity. It streams up. It doesn't touch 0, by the way. I'm looking at that. And then it's going to be union. Wow, what does it do there? Starts up at 0, and then it seems to shoot up to 1/3. Whoops, but doesn't touch it. And then it resumes a little bit above 1/3 and goes off to infinity. All right, so I'm pretty comfortable that I've got everything down, and I want to make sure you know that we've stated certain things. And let's go through those things. That I've stated this, and what's that going to be? That's going to be where the y-intercept is, 0 minus 1/4. Let's make sure that's written down for you. It is. Let's go to the next one. Let's see. It says a hole. We did say that. All right. There's no x-intercepts. We did say that. What's a domain? All real numbers except, -1 and 4/3. I think I did that over there. We did good. What's else we did? We did limits. Hope you remember that. And we go towards infinity and minus infinity. And we said it's 1/3 in both cases. We did that over there. And that means our horizontal asymptote is also 1/3. Y equals 1/3. Let's go to the next question. We did the limits. By the way, I didn't do these limits over here. I thought it was kind of obvious that it was 0, but you may want to go through that. But, 4/3 to the left, I said it was minus infinity. Let me show you where that is. 4 to the left, minus infinity, and 4/3 to the right, positive infinity. Let's make sure that's written down for you. And it is. And the vertical asymptote we did indicate was x equals 4/3. You need to look at the graph, and we did do that. And I did notice that my range of it was all the numbers except 1/3 and 0. And we're done. We're good to go. Thank you.